Hello, my name is Kylie, and sometimes I read. Today I will be discussing I was going to call it fabulous, but I don't think that. The interesting read of Mona Awad's Bunny. I had to return it to the library, so this is the best you're getting. I think this is the cover I had, but I don't remember. So as we know, I have a problem when books start slow. I don't know if I would call the beginning slow, but I did feel like the whole book, you were just waiting and waiting and waiting for something, anything to happen, and it doesn't. Well, because the climax is literally is the penultimate chapter of the book. And it's not very satisfying. It's very, I guess in that way, it's like postmodern. You end the same place you start. It was described to me as Heathers meets Frankenstein, which killer queen of Mary Shelley, Frankenstein's monster. But it felt like the whole book was just holding its breath for something to happen, and it never does. So it was very disappointing in that way. I think I have beef with how she writes, because to me, the book had two tones. One, when you're super greened out trying to understand anything, and then you don't understand anything, you go throw up in the bushes. The second tone, was that I truly thought some of these chapters were written by AI. Like, truly, hand to God. Like, it just didn't, for me, it did not flow very well. It was very clunky. It felt very, like, patchworked together. Maybe that was the point. Because it did give me, like, Fight Club vibes. Like the movie with it's not Christopher Nolan. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Edward Norton. Okay. It gave me, like, Fight Club vibes, where the whole thing is, like, you have an unreliable narrator. So, and by the end of the movie, by the end of the book, you're like, oh, so then any of that was real? Wasn't real? Huh? And then you don't get to talk about what it is. But at least in the movie, you can see what it is with your eyeballs. Maybe I'm just not an adult enough to have read it. Like, maybe I just don't understand unreliable narrators. I don't know, I read Twilight, so I think that that's not true. I think I do understand that. So, furthermore, my last note says, blah, 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 he represents art itself. Which would have been a thing if the end hadn't have happened the way it was. Because the end kind of took away all that happened. Mona, girl, what was the point? Because if the, semi-spoiler alert, I'm going to speak vaguely, but if these creations, right, I compared it to Frankenstein. I had a friend compare it to Frankenstein, and now I'm using that comparison. If the creations are supposed to be, is the symbolism, but then they're taken away, like, does that, I think it undercuts what you think the symbol was supposed to be. All in all, gave it 2 stars. I was going to give it 3 because it was a pretty standard read. Like, I vaguely knew what was happening. It wasn't that slow. Like, it was not a drudge. Like, I was able to finish it. It was just not something I liked. I gave it 2 stars. I was going to give it 3, but then I was like, wait. I give books I liked that are not very well written 3 stars. I can't give a book that I really didn't like, but was creatively written. I can't give that 3 stars. Sorry. So I gave it 2 stars. God, it just was really disappointing. And I wanted to read some of her other books, but now I'm afraid to because I hated this book. I know it was not her debut, and I don't know if that helps or hurts the case. I will still probably try to seek out reading All's Well, just because it has to do with theater, and I'm a thespian, apparently. But other than that, I don't recommend it, but it was recommended to me, so take it with a grain of salt. Bye.